Are you trying to fulfill somebody else's expectations? Are you trying to fulfill self imposed expectations that are not designed for you? Hmm. Maybe you might be missing the calling and the blessing of being who God designed you to be. Stay with me. This is God Made Me Laugh. Welcome to God Made Me Laugh. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Dr. Iván Tirado. I am your host, and God Made Me Laugh is here to discuss those moments in life that make no sense until they make sense. And as I share with people about the idea of the podcast, it clicks. It's like, oh wow, yeah, I had those moments in my life where, you know, it didn't make sense at the moment. I was struggling with this situation or this decision, but then eventually it made sense, and that's what we want to talk about here. It said God made me laugh, even though the name started with the title that I was using when I was doing stand up comedy way back in the day. So God made me laugh here is not about comedy. Yeah, it's about humor because, well, sometimes I cannot run away from it. But it's more about those moments in life where we laugh at something that we think that doesn't make sense. And you probably have a story. You probably have a story to share. Um, Let us know here in the comments. God made me laugh when, and just tell us your story. We want to know. We want to know, and maybe we can read them here on the podcast. It will be great. And I am very thankful. I appreciate a lot everybody who has been watching all the other episodes and that have been connected with the podcast from the beginning. Thank you so much. Thank you for the subscribers. Thank you for everybody who has liked and shared and make the comments and following on Instagram. Thank you so much for that. And there is a very special thank you for the 4 people who watch all the episodes already. Thank you so much. Yes, good, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned when I started with the idea of the podcast, I didn't even have a name for it, and I decided on God Made Me Laugh, Genesis 21:6, and it comes from when Sarah had the baby that was promised. She was too old to have a baby. He was very old, but they had the baby that got promised. And at the moment, it was funny to hear that they were about to have a baby. So I kept that title. But something interesting happened when I was trying to start the podcast, and it was that I was trying somehow to fit a mold of how a podcast should sound like. I was trying to make it in a way that was, well, in summary, not me. And my wife let me know. She said, "You don't sound like you. You sound too rigid. It's not. That's not you. You know, be yourself. Just go out there, be yourself." And listen, for a long time, and actually, we're talking about since I was a little kid. Even though I try to say things in a serious way, it turns as something that make people laugh. I remember when I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be one of those serious actors that they look at the camera and people start crying for no reason. And those, like, if you ever watch the Oscars, you know that most of the movies that they win Oscars, nobody watched them. But there's very serious acting. They look at the camera, they say nothing. That's an Oscar right there. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to be an actor, and I got offered a part in a play. It was for Christmas, and I was one of the wise men that came to give Jesus a present. And I prepared for my performance. I got the beard, the whole like outfit, the crown. I learned my lines, and when I got on stage, I knew that was the moment. That was the moment. It would be the breakthrough performance. And as soon as I got on stage, I messed up my lines. I said, "I am Casper, and I'm bringing something. I don't remember what I'm bringing, but I'm bringing something." And I opened the box and everything. There's nothing here, and people started laughing. And for a 5-year old, that was a little confusing at the moment. It's like, wait a second, people are laughing, and it feels better than seeing somebody crying. So it was like, oh, serious actor, comedy. Huh. I think I'm gonna go with comedy. But something happens when we try to fit a mold, when we're trying to fulfill the expectations either of other people or expectations that we self-impose. We try sometimes to fit those expectations, and people will come and tell you, well, you should do this way, or you should do this other way. And God made me laugh when he reminded me of David when he went to Saul the king to fight Goliath, to offer to fight Goliath. And the first word they were like, "No, you don't. You're just a kid." And they were back and forth until he said, "Listen now, I'll do it." And the king said, "Hey, go ahead, you do it. Now let me give you more armor." And the king gave David the armor. David tried. David was a shepherd, and this kid is trying to wear an armor, and he was like clumsy with it, and he said, "No, I cannot do it like this. This armor thing, this is not my way. I cannot fight like this. I'm not used to it." The thing is that he took off the armor, went to fight Goliath, and you probably know the rest of the story. But it happens a lot. It happens a lot. You're gonna see one thing that I see a lot is that people who are not doing it are the ones who tell you how you should do it, and that happens for everything. It's like, no, you should do it this way, but what are you doing? Anyways, people try to impose expectations. You try to impose your own expectations in many ways, and it becomes a mess because when you try to fit somebody else's mold, you are rejecting the design that is yours. Is your design. You were designed in a certain way, and that certain way of being designed is also the the way that you're going to impact other people. You're going to influence your environment. A specific design for a specific purpose, and sometimes we miss that. We try to fit in some other mold or some other ways of doing things. I remember there was a movie called Dance with Me. It was Vanessa Williams and Chayanne from Puerto Rico. Woo! And he is cleaning the studio, and Vanessa Williams is practicing her dance for a competition. It's ballroom dance, and she's practicing these moves, and there's no music. She's counting. She's counting steps. And Chayanne looks at her and said, "I cannot dance like that." The thing is that they go to a party. She goes to the bathroom for a second. When she comes back, Chayanne is dancing his way out, moving around, you know, all these movements, and she got mad because she's like, "Why do you lie to me? Why you said that you cannot dance?" And he said, "No, no, wait, wait, wait. I said I cannot dance like that. without music. I need to feel it. And for for some people, it is hard to understand that you might have a different way of doing things. And in that process, people might not like the way you do things. And trust me, I've been teaching in college for 10 years. And one of the things that students and faculty say is that I don't teach like all the other professors. A lot of them are at the beginning impressed that I am not lecturing as in being very serious about this and all that. I try to tell stories. I try to make it very comfortable for people to feel that they can share their thoughts in the classroom. And I mean, the evaluations have been great. So I think that means some people complain that that's not how they like things, but I think that's like a you problem. So the thing is that you might not have the same style or doing things the same way. But one thing that I had to realize for many years is that I was not designed like other people. I know, for example, preachers or pastors that they or professors that they are very eloquent. They explain things with this beauty, and everything sounds so scripted. I don't like that. I don't even use notes for my classes. And one thing that I realized is that it's not for everyone, but there is a circle of influence that was assigned to me. And if I do it in a way that somebody else will do it, well, isn't it better that somebody else did it? Now, I remember there is a song by Marcos Vidal. Marcos Vidal is a Spaniard. I actually met him in a retreat many, many years ago. We discovered one of his songs because one of our missionaries found the song, brought it to us, and for months we didn't know who was singing this song. The thing is that we finally figured out who he was, and in his record there was one song that it was always close to my heart. And the song was telling the story about a clown who was in the circus, and the kids will come to the circus to watch him. But he wanted to be one of those guys who's in the air doing the twisting and the jumping from one side to the other like in a trapeze. And one day when nobody was there, he went up and tried to do one of those tricks. The thing is that he fell and there was no net. He broke his back. He had to be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Until one day, the owner of the circus came and said, "We had to close the circus. No kids were coming because you were not there." And when he realized that his purpose was to make people laugh and not to make people gasp in the like be impressive, he started painting his face when he saw kids around and started playing a violin that it sounded really, really bad, but it was funny. And somehow he found his purpose. He found what he was actually doing from the beginning was his calling. But he missed a lot because he was paying attention to what somebody else was doing, to something that for him was more impressive than what he was doing. And for me, pretty much all my life, it was a struggle many times, especially when you get to a place and Professor Tirado is here, or they say, "Oh, the professor," and then I make some jokes and people get confused. Or at church, and I will explain something that is for a lot of people. They go to church and they think it's a funeral. I think it's a celebration of life because Jesus is alive. And I heard one of the guys at church saying, every time you get on stage, I'm waiting for you to say something funny. Even it's not my intention. It's not my intention to say something funny. But the way I say things, sometimes it sounds funny. I don't know why people think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I just say it. I just say what I'm thinking, and generally what I'm thinking is strange. But I realize that was my design. That was my calling. And if I try to fit somebody else's mold, I think I'm going to miss a lot. But how about you? What is your specific calling? What is your specific design? What is it that you should be doing that is the reason and purpose that God designed you that way? Are you trying to look at, something more impressive? You want to be like somebody else because they are doing this and have these results? What are you missing because you're missing your calling? Sometimes it's hard to understand why God called you to do certain things. But someday it's going to make a lot of sense. And that day, God will make you laugh. Thank you so much for hanging out. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments, to leave your like, and to share with your friends. Maybe God will make them laugh too. See you next time.
This episode of God Made Me Laugh was sponsored by Gina Healing and Wellness Center, Beyond Direct Primary Care.